Number one, to the extent that politics is an intellectual debate, the debate over real ideas and the so-called marketplace of free ideas, you have to be able to defend your position against other people out there. Otherwise, in a course of public debate, public so-called discourse, you're going to be trounced. You're going to look the fool. That's why we like a person like Ralph Nader out there, who can tell you everything about regulation, everything about the tricks and the thievery and the so forth, of the cheating of the banks and the corporations, because we recognize that politics is in part about that public debate, discourse, and being able to make rational arguments that carry the day. So in that respect, no, we do need to know the facts. We have to have a full and complete control over the facts. Otherwise, we're simply going to be easily dismissed in the course of a public debate. Secondly, you have to put forth demands which can work. And it's not enough to say, I don't like banks, therefore B. Well, you have to explain B. Does it work? Does it have a real possibility of working? Because you don't want to mobilize people around a demand which then just blows up in their face. Then you lose all credibility. So A, you have to be able to make a convincing case, and B, the case you make has to be rooted in reality. Otherwise, a very short way down the road, you're going to be made to look very foolish, as in, we told you that wouldn't work. So no, I don't think there's a shortcut. We need people who are competent, who understand these things, and also to make ourselves reasonably competent. I'm not too good at that. There are some people, let's say I have a friend now who has very serious cancer, and he and all my mutual friends, they sit down, they master every detail of the cancer so they can ask intelligent questions to the doctor. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean they have the competence whereby they can actually perform the surgery, but they want to be able to make quote-unquote informed decisions as we proceed along the way. And it's the same thing with our movement. Yes, there'll be a handful of people who are the equivalent of the doctors, who have the professional competence to actually perform the surgery. But then you want most of the movement to be able to ask intelligent questions as you go along the way. So you feel that you have some control over what's happening to you. And just as the way most people carry on when they have an illness or disease, that's the way a political movement has to carry on, and as it tries to extricate itself from an economic illness or disease. You rely on the expertise of those who are most competent, but you gain as much of a grasp over the phenomenon such that you can make intelligent decisions as you go along the way, because after all, you're the one being operated on. And we are the ones who are going to be the beneficiaries or the victims of the decisions we make with economics. But what I don't think is possible is to simply do everything blindly. You know, there's no simple answers to these things. We should never downgrade the importance of having a firm grasp on the facts. For two reasons, as I said, and I think each is as important as the other. Number one, you have very competent people out there. They're called pundits. And their job is to confuse you, divert you, create illusions, clouds of confusion, and you need to be able to answer them. Otherwise, you're made to look the fool. And then the second reason is you want to point people in a direction that has reasonable prospects of success. You know, there's a line by Marx, what is it, if something like, if the surface of things corresponded to reality, there'd be no need for science. The whole purpose is we need to intellectually understand something because the surface can be very deceptive. And how do we, in order to get to the reality, that's what study requires. If appearances correspond to reality, then we wouldn't need science. And Marx's view was that capitalism created this thing called commodity culture and commodity fetishism, which completely distorts the way we distorts the appearances as compared to the reality. But as a general principle, it is correct that we do need to study in order to make sense, to guide ourselves.